Welcome to Cybersecurity Refined and Feral, where refinement meets chaos in the digital world. We invite you to join your co-hosts Candy Alexander and Kaylin Sullivan in another open conversation on topics related to cybersecurity.
Hello and welcome to Cybersecurity Refined and Feral. I'm Kaylin Sullivan, your co-host.
And I'm Candy Alexander, the other co-host. We want to thank you for joining us today. We're so glad that you are able to sit in and listen. And by all means, any thoughts, comments, we would love to have you throw those into the comment section. But we're going to be covering, I believe, to be yet another evergreen topic. And that is the truth about the cyber job market. This is a problem that has been growing for some time, and it's been morphing as time goes. And I don't think we're going to solve the problem anytime real soon. So we felt it was appropriate to, again, cover this topic in a very pointed and very open, transparent manner. And to help us do that, we have two really special guests with us today. First, we have Dan Daley, who's experienced some of these challenges himself. Dan, would you like to do a brief introduction, please?
Yeah, just real briefly. Let's see. I'm Dan. I've been doing particularly application security for around about 25 years. I have a PhD, 55 U.S. patents issued. So I've been doing this kind of a long time. And I have, a bunch of publications and all that stuff. So I'm pretty experienced at this.
Yeah, you kind of know your stuff. And then we have Wayne Daley, who has been in the cyber world for some time, but has been doing cyber recruiting for about 7 years. Wayne, would you like to give a brief introduction as to who you are, please?
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Wayne Daley. I own a firm called LaunchGig. We specialize in cybersecurity and data privacy and cybersecurity attorneys. I was on the engineering side of the desk for many, many years until I decided to hire candidates and felt like I was underserved by recruiters and decided to saw a need there and started the business. And it looks a lot easier than it is.
I appreciate that and everything that you do as well. So to get things started today, maybe we'll start with a little bit of storytelling or maybe reality telling, if you will. Dan, would you mind sharing with us your story and your challenges of late?
Yeah, let's do it. So, it's a little bit hard for me to talk about this because there's very much an ingrained culture of, especially in security, of like you have to have all the answers. You have to you can't allow that you're having any challenges. But let me basically recap the story as it is. I was consulting, which was going pretty good for a while. Then last year there was a serious downturn, and I had no trouble filling my calendar with jobs for a while. But starting last summer, it was so dead I can't even describe it. It was, I couldn't get the time of day from any company at all, which is not to blow my own horn, but I'm kind of extremely experienced at this, and I think I have a lot of value to bring to the table. So last summer was completely dead. I mean, and then of course you start to question, you start to spiral, all these things that are really not helpful. And so then I finally got a gig earlier this year, only to be let go last month. And this was out of the blue and unexpected. And I don't really like talking about it. It's kind of an unpleasant experience all the way around. But here's the good news. The good news is that for whatever reason, this year is a total turnaround. at
Hmm.
least for my small little niche of the market, um, I'm having no problem now. So within the span of 2, 3 weeks, I've spoken to 5 hiring managers.
Hmm.
And I've recently told 2 recruiters, I, I just, I just can't. I just don't have the bandwidth to take on another interview right now.
Wow.
Um, so it's weird to see it this way because um, the reporting in the news is like the unemployment rates among recent computer science and computer engineering graduates is higher than it's ever been.
Hmm.
Throughout my career, unemployment has been practically zero for computer security of all stripes. Um, and so it seems like for whatever reason, um, senior people are in demand again, which is good. The other thing I would say is that salaries are down quite considerably.
Hmm.
So the typical salaries that I'm seeing out there are, 25 to 33% lower than they were, say, last year. So last year there were positions with salaries posted, uh, but you couldn't get anyone to call you back. Now it
Hmm.
seems like there's been a reset in terms of compensation, which is, like I said, 25% to 33% lower. But there is at least interest, and that's
Well,
good. So
I don't, I don't know about maybe for your piece of the
yeah,
world, but
everybody's a small
not.
niche.
So I'm going to stop you there. So I want to hear from Wayne. What from your perspective do you take from Dan's story? Because um, last year being dead, silence, radio silence, and then now upswing of openings or opportunities. I have not seen it. I recently have gone back out on my own as an independent consultant. I I find it completely radio silence. I have gone through, and Dan, I appreciate you being very transparent and honest because I too am like a lot of experience. I have not found any leads, any opportunities, and it really messes with your ego, your confidence, your mind, and it's depressing. And so, Wayne, if you could come in and talk to us about the emotional toils of that, and then what are you seeing from your perspective? Is it just the technical AppSec, or is it across the board? What's your reaction there?
I'd like to say that we've seen downtimes before, and I've experienced job loss during the dot-com bust in 2000, 2001, the
Yeah.
Great Recession, 2008. So there have been some downturns, and I don't know what we call this. We'll look back on it, maybe the AI or the COVID bump, where if you could fog a mirror, you could get a job, or you could certainly get interviews. 2021, 22, and it tapered off in 2023. Hey, it's difficult when you don't have a job. You can't pay your bills. Self-esteem goes down. You may be out in the street. You might have to
Yeah.
ask a family member, "Hey, can you help me out?" I mean, nobody likes doing that. It's a
Right.
very humbling experience.
Yes.
Um, there's no doubt about that. I still see it to be a tough market. Maybe AppSec. I don't specialize in AppSec, Dan. So um, maybe that's a pickup. And I understand you're taking a little bit of a haircut at 22 to 33% reduction in salary. But I commend you that you're willing to get back into the market because I've talked to a lot of people who are dead set on salary expectations. I'm like, you're trying to hit a grand slam off the bench, just get back into the game, you'll be able to pay your bills, do whatever. And
Yeah.
I commend you for doing that. I know that's kind of a self-esteem hit too, to take a pay cut like that. But still, you're doing it. God willing, you'll get a job here in a few weeks, and I'm glad you're doing that. I don't think everybody has that attitude though.
Right. So, Dan, What did you do differently, or is it just that jobs are now becoming more available? And if it is the latter, with jobs becoming more available, are they the same jobs that were available, say, a year and a half, 2 years ago, or are we really seeing a shift with the? I mean, nobody can go and have a conversation about technology without saying AI. So, what are you seeing from the AppSec perspective? And again, what are you doing differently now that you're seeing these openings?
I wish I could say that I did X differently and that made the difference, but I haven't done anything differently, if we're perfectly honest. Um,
Mm.
you know, some people have said that I should retailer my resume and LinkedIn profile to make me look less old. I didn't do
Yes.
that. Um, it's kind of inexplicable to me. I wish I had a good answer as to why is it different. I really think it's just about um, from COVID, there was like an increase in salaries. And then I think in 2024, people cut back. And I think now companies are starting to wade back into the pool. But it seems like salaries are down. What I've what I have seen a couple of opportunities that I would say were embarrassingly low in terms of
Yeah.
compensation. So I'm talking like down 50%. So um, that's tough to take, especially when you factor in the return to office policies.
Yeah.
So return to office has been um, the source of quite a lot of churn, and I'm fortunate that first of all I'm willing to drive to Boston, so that I've got that going for me, but also. Um, there are some remote jobs that I've gotten interviews for, um, and there's some return to office jobs that I'm looking at as well. So,
Okay.
um, I think it's kind of a salary reset. Like some companies are
Mm.
trying to see how little could we possibly pay people,
Yes.
um, and I've been upfront with some recruiters just to say, I'm sorry, the list of things that you're asking for, either you want this human to work 996 or 997 even,
Yes.
um, or your expectations are just out of the water. And I
So,
think this speaks to something else, which is that it's hard for management to articulate what security problem they're trying to solve.
wow.
Mm.
And
That's a whole other.
okay,
That
okay,
that that goes without saying, because I've always said, when I was with ISIS International Board of Directors, I worked with ESG Enterprise Strategy Group to do a study on the profession. And we always came to the conclusion that hiring managers and organizations were trying to hire a brain surgeon for the pay of an EMT. So there's that. That goes without saying. Wayne, I want to go back to you because you were smiling a whole lot when Dan was talking about the reduction of offered salaries and things of that nature. What was running through your mind and what was behind that smile?
I I I think I think employers are trying to get the mostest for the leastest. You know what I mean? Economic principle. There's no doubt about that. To see how far they can push the boundaries. I don't think everybody's doing that. I don't think everybody's doing that. But if if an employer can save money, they're going to.
Right,
There's no doubt about it. Look at offshore workers.
right,
All that. So
yeah.
I wasn't. I wasn't smiling at your reduction in salary, Dan.
No, no,
I
no.
was going kind of
I
a devilish smile going, yeah, yeah, I believe that.
well, I,
Yeah.
I was just thinking that maybe you knew something we didn't.
No, no.
To share a little, but
I wonder how much it like the effects of the economy and the unstable geopolitical climate has a lot to do with the downturn and now slowly trying to creep their way back into growth mindset versus conservative hold.
I'll speak to that. I'll take that question. Thank you, Kaylin. I think a lot of people are in a holding pattern for the election. It's over. There was some upheaval with certain economic policies. We won't get into them, but then the stock market took off, and I think people are wading back out in the water. I think that attributes to Dan's upturn in job offers and interviews,
Yeah.
that people are wading back out into the employment market and hiring employees because they think, well, it's not so bad. It's a. I will say this: it's a weird market. The stock market keeps going up. I see the unemployment numbers. I know there's a lot of people unemployed, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't
Yeah.
equal that. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but I do think we'll have positive. I think the end of Q3 and Q4 will be a better hiring for 2025.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
'Cause I know so many people on LinkedIn are, posting I'm available, and it's really disheartening. I've had a lot of folks reach out to me personally and say, if you hear of anything, and it just really breaks my heart. I wish I could help all of them. That's why a lot of times on LinkedIn, I'll share out, job openings, for greater visibility or whatever. It's just disheartening. One thing I want to go back to, Dan, you were talking about somebody had or whatever recommended that you revise your resume to, try to, hide your age, I'll say, or experience.
Yeah.
I have found that as well. I actually, this week, there was a LinkedIn Live event about jobs, and that was also covered. Wayne, what do you think about that perspective? Is that something? I mean, that's ageism, and
Mm-hmm.
with age comes experience, as we all know, regardless. But what do you think about that? Is that really a wise thing to do?
I don't think it's a bad idea. I really don't. I really don't. I wouldn't put down graduation years from college. If you went to college, I would probably put down maybe 10 years of experience. If you have 10 years, your most recent 10 years of experience. Um, I don't
So,
think anybody needs to know that you're an MCSE and NT40. I think that doesn't need to be on the resume.
so am I hurting myself when I, put on my resume, cybersecurity professional with over 35 years experience? Is that hurting me? Be honest. I can take it.
I I think it could be a hit. I think it could be a hit. I don't think I put down. I would do an A/B test, Candy. I would try it without it and try it with it and see what happens. If
Mm.
you've tried it with it so far, it hasn't been working. Try it without it and see what happens.
Because
Yeah. One thing I've been doing actually is this time around, I've been going in when I talk to people and saying, you might look at me and think that I'm overqualified, but, and come on to the story, trying to get it on the table, get ahead of it, so
that's a
that
good
it's
idea.
not like this unspoken thing. I mean, I've always said that I thrive on negative feedback, right? So if you're concerned about me being overqualified, I would much rather talk about it
Yeah.
than have you simply in the background scribble overqualified, and then we never have a chance to discuss it.
Because I think that term is an excuse.
Yep.
And so, I mean, you look at, or, where I am in my career, right? Again, being around a long time. And by the way, I started at the age of 4. So there's that. So I'm not really that old. I wish. But when you look at a lot of folks that are where they are in their career at the same level as they're the ones that are looking for jobs. And
Hmm.
I mean, how terrible is that? Because we're the ones that have been around, we're battle worn and savvy and know how to work around those pitfalls. So, I say shame on, those people that aren't that smart enough, and I'll say it like that, to recognize that experience is what you want and not somebody who's mid-career and, going to make the same mistake. So I guess that's all we need to say about ageism and, saying you're overqualified, because that's an excuse. Unless, any final points on that before we move on to our other challenges in the hiring job market.
The only other thing I would say is that at this point in my career, like, I mean, I'm blessed, right? It's like I've had a great career. So I'm willing to accept a reduction in compensation.
Yeah.
I'm willing to accept a reduction in title in return for working with good people, doing something that's interesting and that I want to do. These things I value much more than a number or a title at the end of the day.
Wayne, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I would definitely. I think things are getting better. I really do. I think things will get better. For ageism. And another thing we didn't bring up is that if you see someone that's very experienced, and this goes to Dan's point, it screams expensive. They're going to cost a lot of money.
Yep.
We're not going to be able to meet their salary demands, and
Right.
we don't even want to talk to them. So, um, yeah,
That's what I hear when I hear that somebody's overqualified. That to me immediately says like we're expecting a high salary for them and we don't want to pay it.
And that's why I love, seriously, Dan, that's brilliant. Bring it right out in the beginning and just say, I may, give you the impression because I'm really experienced that, I'm high salary. Get it right out of the way, because another thing is that you had said is, the benefit of working with good people in a good environment and all of that, that is what everybody's looking for. And I would be willing to take a reduction in salary for that environment. And that's actually one of the points that came out in one of those studies, or many years of those studies with the ISSA State of the Cyber Professional, that people would, they find it more valuable to work for an organization that you feel appreciated and valued, and that you learn from your colleagues. Because although I have all these years of experience, I am learning every single day. And so if I have an opportunity to work with really brilliant, smart people, I mean, that's priceless.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So the other thing I would mention is, if you feel a special attachment or calling to the mission of the organization. So I volunteer doing this stuff, doing like this technology stuff for an organization that, helps people, and I do this for free. So if I could find like a nonprofit gig for which I felt a special, attachment to the mission, I'd be willing to do that. Because, like I said, I mean, I have had a nice career, and it's important for me to feel like I'm giving back in some way.
there's those words. I swear that, I can tell someone who's passionate about cyber when I hear those words, like I'll ask, why do you do this? To give back. Because I've even said it. So those are the magic words. Wayne, what are your thoughts in this regard?
Mm. I agree. Giving back. I think the culture is. I think it's key. I think it's definitely key. It definitely could soften the blow on the reduction in salary if you're doing working for an organization you believe in their mission, and their philosophy, their statement, and most importantly, your coworkers. You care about how they. You don't want to leave them in the lurch. You want to work as hard as possible. Yeah, I agree with that totally.
Very
So I
good.
think maybe we can pivot to the other side of it now. I think that might be a good segue into what about those that are underqualified for the positions that they seem to be getting?
Ooh. So in our, pre-recording conversations we had with Wayne, he shared some thoughts in regards to that. Wayne, would you like to expand on those thoughts?
Yeah, so I don't. I think for I see a lot of people post. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I see a lot of people post on LinkedIn who may have some certifications, some education, but not a lot of experience. And I think a lot of people think they want to start off several pegs up the ladder than maybe a help desk position. You know what I mean? And I really think There's a lot of people who aren't willing. I didn't start when I was on you all side the desk. I didn't start out in cybersecurity. I was starting out the help desk and work my way up to
Mhm.
desktop support and to kind of progress through it. I think I think there is work for people for entry level if they're willing to do it. I don't think a lot of people are willing to do it. I think they feel like I got a master's degree. I'm a security plus. I've got this. I got that. I'm not willing to work and answer phones. I do think there is work available.
So, so I call that, kind of like aspirational applying for a job. They're very aspirational, and it's funny because I have met a few, younger than me folks that, they say that, well, I've been told by mentors if I want to be a CISO that I should see myself in that and go for it. So, there's that, but I I don't know. My perspective is that I think I'm going to say it. It's probably not going to be popular with a lot of people, but I think social media has had a huge impact on people inflating themselves and their qualifications. And, I mean, I'll tell you, I'm just amazed at the way some of these people position themselves. It's like, really, 3 years in the job and you are a superstar. Wow.
The
What,
thought leader.
what are your
I,
thoughts there?
I'll go. I have a strong opinion. There are people that do that, and there are also those people are getting jobs and getting speaking gigs and all
Yeah.
sorts of things. It happens. So, um, I don't know how I feel about that. It happens. There's nothing wrong with self promotion. There's nothing wrong with it.
No. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess
But
I've
there's a
always,
difference between self promotion and manipulation or impersonation, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
you're right. But,
yes.
who am I to judge them or judge
It's
anybody on
true.
that? You know what I'm saying? But if you're a shameless self promoter and you
Yeah.
look at them, you look at these people over the years, and they are the ones in the leadership positions. 6, 7, 8 years down the road. So it
Yeah.
works. It's just the environment we're in. Social media has taken over. There's no doubt about
Well,
that.
but again, it comes back to a lot of folks are underqualified to apply for these jobs. And I'm sorry, it seems like they BS their way in. I don't know. Dan,
I
you're
Yeah.
quite on. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Wayne.
I I don't. I think that may happen. So if you get a questionnaire, you can chat GPT or Grok, whatever your AI tool of choice is. Maybe fill out the questionnaire, get the answers right, the take home test, bring it in. You still have to talk in the interview. I
Yeah.
you know I don't. I mean, I've s- I've had candidates who've done very well in the interview, and unfortunately, didn't do so hard in the job. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, yes, I agree. The impact of social media is, um, well, um, so LinkedIn is kind of a funny thing. I view it almost like a dating app. And look, I met my wife on Match.com way back in the day, so I am a success story for this. But in a way, um, dating apps make money if you don't find someone. That if you keep swiping, then they make money. Um,
Ooh.
so LinkedIn might be having the same effect. Like I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know that just personally, like I only pay for LinkedIn Premium when I am actively looking for a gig. So in some way, and they must know this, right? That it's in their best interest if I don't find a gig.
You
Yeah.
know,
Oh my God.
you,
What an interesting thought. Like, let's there. I want to dive down this hole because let's speculate wildly. What kind of algorithms settings that LinkedIn
well,
has?
I don't know.
it resonates with me because
Mm-hmm.
let me explain why. Right? Like, I was like out of my mind busy. Right? I mean, like crazy busy, and like as I'm eating lunch at my desk. right? Because I don't have time for any other arrangements. I would go into LinkedIn, and that was like the 20-minute span I was able to go. And I'm saying to myself, sorry for being blunt. How the hell do these people have all this time to be on LinkedIn? I can't even, and so that really raises a good point. If you're so busy working like a mad person, how the hell are you able to post likes and comments all day long, every day, unless you're going 24 hours a day, or you got a chat bot doing it for you, which I don't know. All of them could be possible. I
Yep.
don't know. I got nothing.
It's just an interesting dynamic. That's all. That like
Yeah.
LinkedIn, but for better or worse, like in the same way that dating apps, I know, right? But so dating apps have essentially consolidated so that the Match Group owns practically every dating app under the sun. So no matter which one you choose, you're still talking to like a Match.com app, and they're incentivized for you to stay there and to pay for premium services. And if you find somebody, then hopefully you're no longer on dating apps. If you are, that's a different story that we don't we
Yeah.
don't have to get into.
So that's interesting, because now that leads us to another point that we have listed in our talking points, right? So, with the thought that the majority of people that are really active on LinkedIn are probably, or maybe, let me rephrase that, maybe looking for new opportunities when jobs are posted, and you get them, right? Even in your feed, even if you're not looking for a job, you still get the suggested job postings, right? And then you get the job postings, and then no kidding, within a day there's over 100 applied. So that brings us to the point we talked about, Wayne. Like, you get the job postings, and then they're inundated with respondents. So, hey, how do you sort through all that mess? How do you rise to the top, to be the cream of the creme de la creme? I mean, what's going on there? How can we overcome that, or do we even bother?
Yeah, the ATS algorithms are a total blind box or total black box. Um, I think I've been fortunate in a way that I feel that having a PhD has been helpful, because I can only assume that ATS algorithms are sorting by education somehow, which would make sense. If I were designing an algorithm for that, I would also sort by education. And not many people in AppSec have PhDs. That's just the fact. So I think that's helped me, even though that's not why I got a PhD. I got a PhD because I love technology and I wanted to do research, and um, so I think that's helped me in a way. Unfortunately, that's not really helpful advice for a lot of people, because it takes a long time. I mean, it took me 10 years to do it, right? So that's a long, long process. But yeah, ATS algorithms are kind of a black box, and it's unclear how exactly to rise to the top. And I think I've been fortunate, due to circumstances mostly beyond my control, that I just happened to want to do this, and there happened to be few people, and an ATS algorithm facing 500 applications might sort by education, right? That would be a sensible thing.
Yeah. Wayne, what are you seeing on your end?
Um, I think if you applied for a job on LinkedIn and there are only 100 applicants, you would have a good shot, because there's usually thousands in the ticker before they reset it. If they do choose to repost, I think you'd be lucky with 100 right now. As far as ATS algorithms, I don't know. That is a black box. I don't know how they're sorting on it. I do know ways around it. I tend to take candidates beyond the ATS and right to the hiring manager. That's my best spot. And I think we'll talk about that later, ways to do that. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I just I'm amazed, and I know that it's an issue for those that are trying to hire, they're inundated. That's the only thing I can say, is they're inundated, and they have no way of really sorting through other than using technology. Technology has its downfalls. And I know, God bless LinkedIn, they're, like, oh, would you like to use our chatbot to, help craft your resume to this or whatever, whatever. Again, going back to that LinkedIn Live event earlier this week, they said by all means, you should use a cover letter. And that's kind of like, the commercial of who you are. And by the way, AI will help you there too. So, like, everybody's using AI. I mean, how many are sounding the same when it comes to, those cover letters? So, I think it's a catch 22, and it also goes back to, and let's cover this one. Another thing I heard was, and this was part of the ISSA ESG research as well. Use your link, excuse me, not LinkedIn. Use your network. Use those people that you know personally. Um, what is your take there, either of you, on that? Because I mean, sometimes all the good jobs are gone before they're even posted, right?
I, I'll start to kick this off, Dan. I believe in that 100%. I think we discussed this at length during our pre call. Is I think unless you need to know someone right now in the market, either someone like me that has connections with the hiring manager, or you yourself maybe at a continuing education event where you're getting
Yeah.
CPEs and you make an acquaintance there. Hey, I'm looking for work. By all means, and we talked about the skin network. That's how it was several years ago. That's the way people got jobs, and I think it's back in vogue now. I think you need to be doing that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, like the sense of one thing we lost during COVID was community building, right? Everyone was locked up at home. And being an introvert, I was living my best life, let me tell you. But I think that, um, you know, joining an organization, it doesn't have to be ISSA, it can be ISC squared. I mean, pick your favorite, pick some organization you want to get involved in.
Mhm.
I mean, there's so much work to do everywhere. They've got some tasks you could do, and that would make you network because it would make you be in contact with people you would not normally otherwise be in contact with. So,
Mhm.
Kaylin and I worked at a previous employer years ago. Would I be in such regular contact with Kaylin if not for ISSA? I'm not sure. I mean, like, I really like Kaylin and think she's nice, but would I be going out of my way to really hang out with her? It remains to be seen, right? So I think
Well,
community building is very important.
you make me laugh because, yes, for years I've said this. We as technologists, I'll say it, we suck at social skills. And so, like, of course I snickered because, I mean, my most comfortable spot in the world is right here in front of my computer screen. I love it. It's mine, it's my space. There's no touching, except the keyboard. It's friendly. But at the same time, if you're that much an introvert, right, that you can still volunteer and network. Like, I, of late, after my post ISSA life, from international, I'm still a member of ISSA. I'm still supporting it. But my give back volunteerism has been with the Cloud Security Alliance and the AI working groups. I have met brilliant people from all over the world. And so now my network has just exploded. And by the way, they're thought leaders, there's that word, in AI. I mean, we're first name basis, so that's a really good point, Dan, that your networking isn't, just who's on your email distributions, but actively seek out those connections. And Wayne, again, you seem to resonate with this message because I see a whole lot of smiles from you on this.
I think it's the way to go. I really do. I think it's always the way to go. You never know. Everybody gets either ISC squared, ISACA, CompTIA, whatever these certifications are that you need CPEs for. One thing you learn, and number two, you meet people when you're getting these, and There's plenty of other events in Black Hat, DEF CON, and RSA. There's plenty of other events across this
Yeah.
country that you can go to
Hmm.
and network with people. I understand a lot of people like us are uncomfortable out there sticking our hand out and saying, hey, I'm Wayne, I'm Dan, I'm Candy, I'm Kaylin. But you got to.
Hmm.
I think if you get uncomfortable and you do it a couple times, it'll be a lot easier, and it may open some doors for you.
Agree.
Even those that are even like more introverted and don't want to be in big crowded spaces, there's smaller organizations like B-Sides or OWASP that are usually traditionally smaller organizations and membership bases that are, everybody has their own niche of technical focus for specific organizations, but you don't have to go to RSA or Black Hat and be with, thousands of people. You can just go to your local B-Sides conference and
And
enjoy
and I
just the
would venture.
same.
I would venture this. I didn't mean to cut you off, Kaylin. I would
Oh
venture
no.
to say that at the local B sides conference, you would have much more bang for your buck
Yep.
with meeting decision makers than you would at RSA or Black Hat. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yep.
RSA and Black Hat have turned into a vendor show, and that's what it is.
Agreed. Okay, so I think we'd be really remiss if we didn't touch on this topic, and that's there's a lot of chatter out there about ML and AI taking over people's jobs. So I want to go around the table here and I want to hear true or false and why you believe that to be. So I'll pick on my co-host first and she can toss it to whoever she tags. But what do you think, Kaylin? True or false and why?
What question?
Is AI and ML ADP moment?
Oh my God, yes. Okay. Are they contributing to the lack of jobs? I think it's not black or white. I'm gonna go real theoretical on you.
So sideways, huh? No thumbs
Yes,
up or down.
yes. Just- I think in the very beginning, it's going to cause a loss of jobs, but I think overall, in the long term, it's going to create new jobs that help support AI. So it's just transitioning instead of replacing.
Okay, tag somebody.
Wayne, you're it.
I tend to agree with you. I think an alert coming in if you have log data going through AI, and it's been done for years now. You still need human um, interaction, develop that alert, or chase down an alert, or do that. So I'm kind of I think it's good. I think it will change certain job descriptions and tasks and stuff like that. But I think it will bode well. Uh, I would say that in the Wall Street Journal that AI machine learning engineers out in Silicon Valley uh, for leave the company nameless are being offered $300 million a year, $300 million for a 4-year contract.
What was the address on that?
Yeah, I know. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing, and there's people turning this company down. Dan might have read the same article I read.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just mind blowing the type of money. So um, maybe change the machine learning engineer. I mean, why not?
Dan?
Right. Who can say that you aren't, right? I mean,
Yeah.
nobody is. So, no, okay. So I have a slightly different take, and it's kind of like this. First of all, we don't really know, so we're speculating. So give it that. But
Mhm.
also, we have had a challenge in this profession about building career ladders forever, like how to get into cyber, how to progress your career in cyber, etc. And one of the ways to get into cyber has traditionally been entry level help desk style roles. And I do think that These are something of a low-hanging fruit and might disrupt our career ladders and might disrupt the funnel of people coming into cybersecurity. I mean, it remains to be seen if that's going to be true. But certainly, I think that the profession needs to rethink its career ladders, and I think that not enough attention gets paid to this.
I think that's profound. So my take on this is this: we've seen the transition and the transgression of technology disruptors, right? Like computers. We all used, back in the day, typewriters and things of that nature, and it just progressed. And everybody said back then, computers are going to take over the world, right? Lose jobs all over. AI is to us now as computers were to them back then. It is a tool. It's a technology. It's not going to replace anybody. Is it going to, take care of certain functions? Yes. But that's the point too, is that if you are in a job, a function in which AI is threatening to take over, reschool, reskill, resharpen yourself, and then get on the other side of that. So again, I see AI as a tool, not a replacement. And so I think, we are going to see more and more of that messaging come out. A lot of businesses today, they're adopting AI with the thought of, oh, well, I'm going to replace X amount. I mean, we saw it with ML and robotics, right, on the manufacturing floors. Yes, it did replace a lot of those jobs, but for those people that chose to reskill, they still had jobs. It was just different. And I think that's the key word. It's different. In regards to AI in the job, how it affects cyber, I'm glad you brought that up too, Dan, because again, looking for my next opportunities, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up after all these years, because it's changing. So instead of me looking at fractional or virtual or FTE CISO positions, it hit me just recently, dummy, start looking at AI governance, because AI governance is the same thing as what a CISO does. We're looking at it from a different perspective because, again, keyword different. And so looking at it as to what is safe AI, that's AI security. What is responsible AI? That's the other piece of, is it ethical? Will it cause harm? So that's the new piece that's coming in as I see it. So I think eventually we will see CISOs embrace from the AI governance perspective, and security engineers like yourself, Dan, and AppSec, you're going to be looking more from the AI security, looking at the LLM parameters and boundaries and the multi-agentic, authentications and blah, blah, blah. So it's the same concept, but different. So that's my take, I guess. I'd like to get a word or wisdom from both of you in regards to this whole topic of our job market today. What words of advice do you have for folks? If you would be able to sit down and provide that advice to them, what are your closing thoughts and sentiments? And we'll pick on Dan first, and then we'll go to Wayne, and then I'll get Kayla's last thoughts and words. Dan?
Yeah, so to the extent that ATS systems are a black box, it becomes impersonal. So I think I unfortunately embrace the strategy of applying as many places as possible. I know that's contributing to the problem of AI slop, but you're getting these so many applications because of this very problem. We're not really sure what the black box is going to do, so we just need to, if you want to succeed, roll the dice enough times that eventually you will roll the number, your number will come up.
Fair enough. Wayne?
Going back to our previous topic, I think really in this market, I think you need network, network, and network. I really do. I don't know if submitting 100 applications, hoping to win the lottery. Although it appears to be working for Dan, I don't know if that's the best way. How about if you do both,
Yeah.
network and apply to with job specific resumes?
Yeah, I mean, I should be clear that even though that's the advice I would give to someone else, that's not at all what I'm doing. Like
Okay.
like I said, I didn't change my resume. I
Uh,
didn't apply to thousands of jobs. No, I'm not doing that. Come on. But I mean, for a younger person who is like looking for a more junior application security role, you know, you have to. I'm not sure what else to say other than
I,
roll the dice a lot of times, and
and
network, of course.
yeah, now and volunteer. Besides, is in your local community. Why not volunteer? You would meet a ton of people there, a ton of great people.
Yeah.
For
Great
example,
thought.
yeah.
Kaylin, what are your last thoughts, words?
Everything's gonna be fine.
Be
We'll
happy.
make through it. We'll make through it. Um, yeah, I would just have to emphasize the fact that, like, oh my God, this is such a funny little tidbit. So for the longest time, Candy, being my mom, was like, "You need to volunteer on ISSA." And I was like, yeah. It's all about networking. I'm like, yeah, sure. In one ear, not the other, as you know, a daughter would. And then it can't be any more true. Like, mind blown at like all of the connections I've made volunteering for ISSA, being put in um, like positions to learn skills that you would not learn in your day job. It's invaluable. So that to me, that is actually my number one piece of advice, is to get out and volunteer, involve yourself in some of these events, even if it's an informal event like a Slack work group. Um, Workspaces, I'm in a couple of InfoSec Slack workspaces too, just to talk to people.
Hmm.
You don't
Yeah.
have to be in person. You don't have to leave your house, which I don't like to do either. So
And I will say one thing is that we posted a virtual CIO in January of this year. We ran the ad on LinkedIn for a day and a half. We got 947 applications, of which 99.4 or 5% were unqualified. So
mm,
I just think rolling the dice and hoping to get in there, it's very difficult. It is very
yeah,
difficult. I think there are other ways around it. A good recruiter, good networking, getting. I mean, I just think there's a better way to do it. I think you're up against a very difficult challenge to do that.
yeah,
I think I'll add in closing that it's a very personal experience. You know, we're dealing with humans here. It's not just a job. It's humans. And if you are going through this and you're trying and trying and trying, don't give up. If you are feeling deflated, depleted, depressed, reach out to your community. Again, you know, there's Slack channels, there's professional groups such as OWASP, CSA, ISSA, ISC. There's so many communities. Reach out. It's okay to admit I'm trying everything I can and I'm not getting anywhere. It's not you. It really just keep reevaluating. What am I doing? You know, did I get anywhere on this? Solicit input from friends and colleagues, but above all, please don't give up. Keep trying. It will connect. It will come through. And in the meantime, resharpen, reskill, learn new technologies, learn AI governance. There's so many free resources out there. And that's what I would add to all the wonderful advice from our guests and my co-host. And it's just it's a big challenge out there. So I thank you very much, Wayne and Dan, and of course Kaylin. It's a pleasure to have this conversation with you. We hope that all of you, of our listeners and watchers of this podcast, this resonates. It offers you some suggestions and guidance, and in that if you feel inclined, please do check, and add in some comments and share out to people that you feel that could really help by listening to this and watching this podcast. And so we'll go ahead and sign off now. And if you can, don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and again, share with those who might benefit from this message. And so with that, I'll go ahead and say, until next time, stay secure, stay refined.
But don't be afraid to get a little bit feral.
Fair
Thanks very
enough.
much.